Hi everyone, and welcome to Wargamer Online. So at the moment we have the new Age of Sigmar.
Woo!
Woo!
Finally.
So yes, we're going to have a look at the Malign Sorcery, and Phil and Sam have already gone through the unboxing of this. So if you'd like to see the unboxing first or even after, have a look at the link in the description and have a look at that video. But right now,
We're going to go for rules.
we're going to go for rules. One of the first things that you get when you come into the book is a load of really cool story. It sets the scene. It tells you why suddenly magic has just erupted following Nagash's big boom.
Boom of
Yeah, boom of magicness.
Good old Nagash.
Yes. And we start looking at all these different realms. So there are 8 realms and we can play in 7 of them.
Which one can't we play in?
Azure, I think.
Is that the Heaven one?
It's the one that has like Sigmar in it floating
Oh,
around.
right, okay. Oh.
Yes.
Good.
So we can't play in that one, but we can play in all of the others,
Okay.
and we can take their spells and their magic, and each one has a colour.
Oof.
And it explains about what all the different colours are and goes into details about all of that. So there's some really cool story behind it, and it's really interesting, so you should definitely have a look at that. But I think we will focus on the rules today.
Ooh, yes.
So do you like the rules? Before we get to the rules though,
Yes.
I did want to go through the artwork as well. So you go through
Very
the story
pretty
first.
pictures.
Yes, look at this, the purple sun. And they are beautiful.
Yes.
They are super
Awesome
cool. Look at
model
each
as
jack.
well. I know. They're
And-
great. I think the ghouls are going to need rebasing to match this some nice purpley rock.
Rules, Jack.
Yes.
Let's go over the rules. That's what we all want to hear
Okay.
about. Now, we have these things. They're called endless spells. And
Right.
they're totally new.
Yep.
And we now have models to go with spells. And they look awesome. So they're in the unboxing video.
So
Right, so let's start by taking a look at some of the individual spells.
okay.
And one of my absolute favourite is the Purple Sun of Shyish. One, because it's super pretty, and also because it's just such an awesome spell. I mean, you'd think it's overpowered, but it is quite expensive as well. So I think in terms of the points, they've tailored it quite well. And this is one of the ones where you can plonk it down on the table, and then before the turn ends, you can throw it in someone's face.
Okay. So it's an immediate moving one.
Yeah, so it's like, plop, sun in face.
Woo! Go over there.
Yeah, so it casts 8. It's cast on a value
It's quite
of 8.
a tricky one, isn't it?
It's quite a tricky one to pull off, so you might want some extra sort of buffs on your casting, things like that.
Nagash.
Like Nagash. Yeah, he's just going to be chucking suns out.
Oh,
left, right,
he's going to be
centre.
everywhere, yeah.
It's going to be beautiful.
Can't wait.
So what you do is you stick it within 6 inches of your caster.
Yep.
And when it's then set up, you can immediately make a move with it, and it can move up to 9 inches, and it can fly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pretty.
Of course, the sun.
Yeah.
Expect it to.
If you are actually within the realm of Shyish, if you're fighting within Shyish, then it can actually move 12 inches instead of 9. So that's one of...
Here we go.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that obviously you want to be thinking about when you're putting these spells down. What it actually does is if it moves over your unit, or if it's within 1 inches at the end of its moved, then actually that will be subject to the Purple Sun Baleful Energies.
Oof, that sounds exciting.
Yeah, what do you think that is then, Jack?
It's gonna just mortal wounds everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah,
I can tell already.
In fact, not even mortal wounds. It actually. So you roll a dice for every model within that unit.
Yep.
And on a 6-up,
It dies. It dies. No.
How awesome is that?
My
like
poor
no saves.
beast claws.
It's just gone.
6 wounds each. Just gonna go. It's like
just like,
Wild Woods
there's
all
a
over
6.
again.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool.
Yep.
And then you subtract 1 from the bravery characteristic of all units while they're within 6 inches of this model, and I am not surprised.
Yeah, I know. If I saw a big angry sun looking at me, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm leaving this. I'm
Yeah,
done.
you totally would. So yeah, it's a really cool spell. And then one of the other ones I just wanted to quickly cover was the Balewind Vortex, because this has changed a little bit.
Yes.
This is now an endless spell as opposed to being like almost like a piece of
setup,
scenery. And what I do quite like about this one is actually what happens when you dispel it, but I'll come to that in a second.
Yep.
So what you'll do is on a 6-up you'll cast this Vortex, and wizards with a wound characteristic of 9 or more can't actually cast this spell, so no more. So you can't stick Nagash on a Vortex.
Oh. No, I quite liked it. It's kind of like, oh dear.
Do you know who I can stick?
Let me guess. Croak.
I'm not sure if you...
Oh,
Technically, you might be able to do Croak because he doesn't have an actual wound characteristic. I was thinking more my Slan.
Right,
but I could probably do Croak as well.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's even
It's
better,
wonderful.
isn't it? Yeah.
So what you do is you place them on the platform.
Yep.
And because it's an endless spell, it will just stay on. But people now have the opportunity to dispel it.
Okay.
Not just once you're casting it, but also
every
during the game.
During the normal.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Anyway, so they're treated as a single model, and obviously your model just sits on top.
Yep.
Now, what is quite cool is if I cast it first, you can't then cast it.
Oh.
Yes, so if we look at the rules here, if a wizard on a Balewind Vortex attempts to dispel it, the attempt is automatically successful without rolling any dice. So as long as I'm within 30 inches of you, then you can't cast it.
Oh. That's nasty.
Yeah.
So it's just only one side's allowed one?
Not necessarily. I mean, for example, like I say, if I'm more than 30 inches away and I can't dispel it, or if I've run out of dispels, then yeah, you can.
Yeah.
But what it means is it's just way more difficult for you to do it, and actually, realistically, what you might need to do is dispel off it first and then do it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and it kind of makes sense because, again, obviously, this vortex makes you super powerful.
Yeah.
So it gives you that extra ability to then stop your opponent becoming super powerful. What you should have to bear in mind is if you were to dispel it that way, you use up an additional spell that the wizard would have received in that hero phase, and it still counts as your single attempt that you can make to dispel an endless spell.
Because you really drains your power if you're trying to dispel it, doesn't it?
Well, that's the thing, because you can only dispel one endless spell per phase.
Yes.
So it would use that up. This is a bit I love though, because it's really, again, it's quite thematic. So say I'm there on my little vortex.
Yep.
And you decide to just completely swarm me.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm in a vortex, can't touch me, can't touch it.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, okay, dispelled. And then if my wizard actually has nowhere that he can fall, because if you dispel the vortex, I have to be able to set my wizard up wholly within 6 inches of where it was, but more than 3 inches from an enemy.
Okay.
So if you've swarmed me, I can't actually put my wizard anywhere.
Yes.
And so it's kind of like I've been sat on this big vortex, woo, 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 and then you've swarmed me with all your little pikes down in the bottom, and you're like, dispel, and then he falls to his doom and gets piked.
Oh, does he just die?
He just dies.
Oh,
I know.
Finally, ghouls have a purpose. We're just flood ghouls around it, and the king's going to be like, ha! There you go.
Yeah, so it does again just add a whole new dynamic to the game.
Yeah.
Do you want to actually hear about what a vortex does?
Yeah, go on then. I think it'll make me upset, but
so I can add one to my save rolls for the wizard that's on it.
Right. Okay.
This is decent.
Yeah.
And here's the good bit, because a wizard on a Balewind Vortex can attempt to cast an additional spell in each of their hero phases, which is good. And that's including the turn in which the spell was actually cast in the first place.
So your Slan's now chucking out 4 spells?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And you can add 6 inches to the range of any spell.
Oh, that's even... Oh, Marathi that would be quite nasty. She's got a 40-inch arcane bolt. That would be great.
Beautiful. Yeah, so it is just really cool what they've done with it. And it is nice that you can dispel it. And I do like the fact that actually if your wizard loses its vortex,
it just kind of falls to its death.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's a couple of the spells, some of my favourites in there.
Yep.
You now pay points to take them.
Yep.
And you take these in addition to the other spells that you know. So
Okay.
you could know all of these other spells plus all your wizards in an army. If you've paid, say, 20 points for one of these spells, all your wizards can cast this spell.
So it's not like I don't know, only one wizard has it. So all my wizards have the ability to cast this spell.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Now, the catch is, so as it says here, a wizard cannot attempt to cast more than one endless spell in the same turn, even if they are different endless spells. So there's no point taking one wizard and, say, 5 endless spells, because it would probably be a waste.
Yeah.
As I say, if you don't have the model, you can't cast it. But what that does mean is actually, say you paid for 3 vortexes, for example, and you had the 3 models on the side, then you can actually cast them all.
Okay.
Now, they've also added another dimension to it, because you think, okay,
dear.
so you've paid these points and you've got these things
Got my
coming
cool
along.
spells.
Yeah,
Loving
how
it
awesome
already.
is that?
I know.
And then I take control of it.
Oh, that's a bit.
I know.
That's great. Yeah.
I know, yeah, it's great. No, it's really cool, and I think it kind of gets around this whole, you know how there was the double turn before, and it was so broken.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, this, you've still got your double turn.
Yep.
But if you come second, you get the first chance at controlling what we call predatory endless spells.
Okay.
So a predatory endless spell is one in which it can move around the board.
Oh, okay. So you have endless spells which are stationary. I'm guessing that's going to be like your big crystal towers, and then you're going to have like moving ones like the munching jaw thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we can just plop a little thing down in the middle of the field, and that just, you know,
That
does
its thing. Yeah.
Or we could set up, you know, like a big wave of stuff coming over, or a big pendulum, for example. And what I might do in my turn is place it down on the field. And how it moves in the first turn that you place it depends on the spell itself. Because some you'll play and they literally, you will cast it and all it will do is sit on the field at that time. You can move it afterwards, but at first it sits down. There are others, and these are slightly more expensive usually, where in your first turn as you cast it, it will move across the board straight away.
Yeah.
And then what will happen is we will roll off on our turns. And whoever has the second turn, before the turn actually begins, so you'll have rolled off to figure out who has the first and second turn, and then before you do anything else, you take control of the predatory spells.
Oh, okay.
And whoever goes second gets to choose the first one. So say we had 3 spells on the field, and you're going second, you get to take the first pick.
Oh, but then you get to pick one
afterwards.
But
then, if it's an odd number, you would get the last one.
The last one. So you could summon a spell, say like the munching jaw thingy.
Yeah, I
don't know names. So it could summon, go nom 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 forwards, and then I would get the turn and it would turn around and
that's
munch
the thing.
backwards.
You can't. So if I've already moved it, you can't then touch it that turn.
Right, but next turn
you could.
Would be able to.
If you took control of it first, you could then take it.
Okay, so it kind of balances it out a bit.
So you know what could happen? I could set one down next to my wizard.
Yep.
And then you get the second turn and you nom the wizard.
Nom it through the wizard. Oh, that would be good. That'd be quite satisfying.
Yeah, so it just adds a whole new layer to the game.
Yeah, because I'm guessing, like, I think lore-wise, they're meant to be a bit unstable, aren't they? They've kind of got a mind of their own, these spells. Kind of,
yeah, but obviously you're taking, in most cases you could take control of that.
Yeah, but that's what it's like, kind of like you would summon it, but then there's a chance it turns on you. And
exactly, and that fits into some of the lore that's in the start of the book. So they make quite a big thing about how magic obviously is super powerful, but it can be dangerous.
Unpredictable.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's really, in fact, and that's why I really liked a lot of the lore at the start, because it really did tell the story, and it really tied into the rules as well, so it all links together.
Yeah.
So you will be happy to know you can dispel these spells. There are a couple of ways you can get rid of them. So if one, for example, passes over the board edge, then it will disappear.
Yep.
I can unbind it. So if you were to try and cast it, when you cast it, I can try and unbind it. There's actually a new rule to magic now. So because before, I think it was 18 inches and line of sight.
Yes.
Now it's 30 inches and no line of sight.
30?
It's quite cool.
That's quite far, isn't it?
Yes. And like I say, you don't need line of sight anymore.
Okay, so even if your wizard's hiding behind a rock, you can
still my slan is going to be in a little corner in a building.
Just going like, have a big pendulum from the sky. That would be fun.
Exactly. So yeah, I can either unbind it straight at the start of the turn as you try and cast it.
Yep.
If I fail at that, I can't try and unbind it anymore.
Okay.
And no other wizards can.
Yep.
So then let's say it's out on the board. So it can either pass over the board edge, or I can actually, in my hero phase, try and dispel one of your spells.
Okay.
So to do that, what I would have to do is be within 30 inches, but this time I would need line of sight.
Right, so you need line of sight of the model or the caster?
The actual model of
the
the
actual
spell
model
itself.
of the spell. Okay, yeah.
But the catch to that is you use up one of your spells.
Okay,
so if you could cast 3 spells before,
you can now only cast
2 plus a dispel if you would choose them to dispel.
Okay.
What is interesting as well is if you try to cast the spell and the model doesn't fit, even if you cast it successfully, if the model doesn't fit, you can't put it on the board and it's not cast.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, there's it does add a whole new dimension, and it is actually just one of the small areas that actually they've changed. So it's obviously a big change, but because they've done so many changes,
it's this suddenly new, very powerful magic spells.
Yes.
So magic has had a big boon to it.
It has, and it is really cool.
I think my beast claws are just crying on the shelf right now. I want a big
my
jaw.
Seraphon are loving it.
Oh yeah, I bet they are. Yeah.
Ta-da! No, another thing we've added.
Yep.
Battle plans.
Ooh,
we have some
even
new ones.
more.
Oddly enough, so we have some narrative battle plans, but actually, when I was looking at some of these, I was thinking you could, to me, it looks like you could play them as pitched battles.
Pitched battles,
so you do get 2 actual pitched battles.
Okay.
But the narrative ones, I think, are actually the things that have got me the
compatible.
Yeah, but they're the things that have got me the most excited, actually.
Okay.
So take this one, the Peripheus Gate, for example.
Yep.
So we each set up on our little side of the board, and in the middle is a giant realm gate.
Okay.
And what you do is have a beautiful piece of scenery to represent this realm gate. And we'll be playing in a certain realm. But the gate will have another realm inside it. So to determine it, we roll, and depending on what we roll, we'll determine what the actual realm is within the gate.
Yep.
And what we're trying to do is we're trying to hoard over to this gate and try and take control of it.
Okay.
But the really cool thing is, whoever has control gets a special command ability.
Ooh.
And your command ability lets you bring your destroyed units back through the
gates.
Oh,
yeah! Woo! That's going to be fun to play against, isn't it?
How cool is that?
Yeah, that's great.
It's such a fun story, though, because you can just imagine all of these guys just coming out.
Pouring out the gate, killing them, and they're just not stopping.
They're just coming back through. Yeah. And the way they've done the major victory in this is whoever... so we'll play for victory points, and whoever has control of the gate gets victory points. But actually, if I won and I doubled the victory points, that gives me a major victory.
Okay.
So it's quite an interesting way of doing it. Another cool battle plan that I really enjoyed the look of was this one called the Great Wave. I think the reason I really like this one is because of the command ability on this. So they've given everyone command abilities based on the battle plans.
Yep.
Now, it's fairly normal because we'll just be fighting between ourselves.
Yeah, I should do.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
And the way you get victory points with this is just by destroying units and things.
Okay.
But what's really interesting is whilst we're hashing it out, there's going to be this giant wave just coming over the battlefield.
Oh, nice! That's great.
And it could kill your units. It can do mortal wounds, or it could heal them up and give them buffs. Well, it can't heal them up, but it could give them buffs.
Okay.
And the best part is, and this is the thing I love, guess what the wizard ability is that you can have?
You can make it go faster.
You can ride the wave, Jack.
Oh, I can see it already. A slant toad with his beach shorts just going across it.
It's just amazing. But that's why I love these. They're so there's such a story to them. They're great. I don't think you need to play these as narrative. I totally just play it competitive. Yeah. And I'm sure you could. It would add a whole new it'd add a random dynamic to it, but it would be awesome. There's some that I don't think you could play as pitch battles because you have Ravagers and you have Guardians, so you'd be playing different things. Yeah. But yeah, super excited to play some of these battle plans because they look so cool.
It'd be good now. The change from just the standard 6 battle plans which were in the old General's Handbook. You now got ones in the rule book. Yeah, and you do get another 2 in this book as well. Yeah. Okay. So let's move on then to Spells of the Realms. Oh, it just doesn't stop, does it?
No, it's great. So we've already talked about how we've got these endless spells. And you take these in addition to all these other spells that you can take.
Okay.
Now I know what you're thinking. Okay, great. I can normally take 3 spells. Great.
Woo.
Well, now you can actually take Spells of the Realms.
Hey.
And these are based on whichever realm we're playing in.
Okay.
So you know at the start how I said that we've got 7 realms that we can play in?
6. 7. But I thought one of them you can't play in.
That's because there's 8.
Oh, is there 8 realms?
Yeah, so there's 7 realms that we can play in.
Yes.
And for each realm you get 6 spells. And and all of our wizards,
all of them know it.
All of them will know these 6 spells.
Right.
So we got a whole host to choose from. So let's take some at random. So let's say the spells of Ghyran.
Yep.
I'm hoping that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, close enough. I'll butcher it more.
So we can have things like whip vines, for example, and you roll a dice for each enemy unit within 3 inches. On a 4-up, the unit being rolled suffers 1 mortal wound.
Okay,
so there's things like that.
Yeah, so very thematic spells for the realm you're in. So if you're in the realm of life, you can control the nature.
Again, yeah, like ties back into the whole lore. Yeah,
making it very lore friendly, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So for each realm that you play in, you have you know, the abilities and the spells all tie back to what that realm
But you can't say I'm like a death wizard, I can't take Shyish spells into Ghyran. Can you not do that? You only know the spells of the realm you're playing in. Exactly. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And depending on what realm we're playing in as well, if either of us have taken endless spells, if the endless spell is from the realm that we're playing in, that also gets a buff as well.
Oh, it just doesn't stop,
does it?
It's great.
So yeah, where you play will actually have quite a big impact on the nature of the game. And the way they say to sort of choose where you want to play is, you know, we can either agree, we might say actually we fancy playing in actually for example.
Yeah.
Or if we can't agree, because, you know, we're both stubborn, we might roll for it.
Right. I think that might be happening quite a lot.
But yeah, we can just roll for it and go from there. So suddenly, all of these spells have been opened up to us.
Okay. I guess it saves the whole, at the start of the game, like writing down every single spell from like choosing one for each wizard. Just that ability to just say, yeah, you've got all of them, just choose when it comes to casting, and just speeds all that preparation up a bit, doesn't it?
Yes, and we still have the rule of 1 as well. Yes. So that still applies.
So only one of the spells can be cast per phase.
Regardless of who's casting it.
Okay.
And what is interesting as well is we now have, we still have artifacts, but whereas the spells are dictated by which realm you're playing in, the artifacts are dictated by which realm you choose to be from.
Oh, that's good, because that's very thematic then, is it? It's still making it very lore friendly, because like, take my Beastclaw Raiders, they're probably going to be taking the Beast artifacts, because that's where they come from, even if they're fighting in the Death realm.
Well, interestingly, you could choose that they're not from that realm.
Okay.
You could choose a complete unthematic realm.
Yeah, like fiery Beastclaw Raiders.
Yes.
Can see it already.
But it does give you a lot of choice and a lot of options. So whereas this will be dictated by where we choose to play the game, so it will vary on an individual basis. So
that's,
you might find an artifact that you're particularly attached to, in which case you can just say that your entire army, funnily enough, is from where that artifact comes from.
So it allows you to make a lot more backstory and kind of carry that backstory into the game with your armies. Makes it a lot more personal, doesn't it?
Or you could just do it purely based on it. Cheese.
You know, I'm sure Sam will probably be doing that as well.
Probably, yeah. And that's probably the highlights, I think, really, of Malign Sorcery.
Yes.
So you've got a bit of lore there, which really ties quite well to the actual rules themselves. Yeah. You've got some really pretty pictures.
Very nice artwork.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And we've got how to paint a lot of this stuff. Yeah. Obviously, beautiful models that come with it. All of these cards, I really like the cards actually, in terms of like just really nice, easy, small. Exactly. And then we've got endless spells coming in. We've got this whole dynamic of we can take control of each other's spells.
Now having a bigger role in fantasy.
Yeah, I'm really thinking about who's going to take that first and second turn.
Yeah, it actually makes you question it now.
It does, yeah. So, and then obviously now we've got all these extra realms that we can play in, things getting certain buffs off it, all these new artifacts, all these new spells, and having to think about where we're actually going to play the game and where we're from. And starting to put a real story to it.
Yeah.
So Magic, I think, to sum up, is getting awesome.
Yep. Loving it.
Yeah, so if you've got a Magic army like myself,
nice
like
lizards.
A lovely Seraphon, then we are going to be loving Age of Sigmar 2. Now, if you have been watching these videos and you do like all this sort of Age of Sigmar 2 stuff that we're talking about, then please do subscribe and follow the channel, because there's going to be way more to come. So we're going to be doing battle reports, we've got more reviews, we've got unboxings, we are all about Age of Sigmar at the moment. We're all super excited about it. So do tune in and get regular updates. And end of June, Have fun with Age of Sigmar 2. Bye!
Bye!